All right. Hello, coffee makers, not coffee takers. He is the master of cyber farms, Alfredo B. Nash Jr., and I, the people's chief, Dr. Joseph J. Bermilla Jr. And we are your hosts for the Cyber Coffee Hour. Alfredo and I hail from Mount Vernon, New York, and we are excited to share our experiences and stories along with those of our incredible guests. Our mission is to impart knowledge, enhance understanding, and cultivate a sense of community in the expansive world of cyberspace. So for today's show, we will have a coffee chat with NSA National Cross-Domain Strategy Management Office Chief Tyrone Byrd. Now, Tyrone Byrd, or TByrd, is a passionate leader, a devoted family man, and a man of faith who believes in the transformative power of relationships. Born and raised in a loving household, TByrd credits his parents for instilling the values of kindness, authenticity, and resilience. Frequent moves marked his early years, but his outgoing nature allowed him to forge lasting friendships wherever he went. A proud United States Air Force veteran and a former youth football coach, TByrd's life experiences have shaped his understanding of the importance of community and connection. He embraces life's triumphs and challenges, viewing them as opportunities for growth and learning. Today, TByrd is committed to inspiring others from all walks of life. His vision as a leader is to unite people through genuine connections, fostering a sense of belonging while encouraging everyone to strive for their highest potential. With a heart full of gratitude and a mission to leave a positive impact, TByrd continues to champion kindness and character in every interaction. TByrd, welcome to the Cyber Coffee Hour.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Joseph, thank you for having me. Alfredo, very, very nice to meet you today. And thank you guys for allowing me to share my experiences with you and your audience.
Absolutely. And yes, and thank you for being on the show. And you know, it's right on time too. We have Veterans Day coming up, you know, just around the corner. So this is a very special episode, and again, very, very happy to have you on the show. So, but I guess TByrd, just check with you first. I mean, you know, how things been going for you as of late?
Well, wonderful, and again, I'd like to thank you guys for having me and letting me share. I told you I kind of wanted to do November, and this was targeted. I kind of wanted to do it around Veterans Day. After over 20 years of service in the Air Force, and it was a lot of me was built and shaped in the Air Force, and a lot of what I accomplished and learned in the Air Force I'm using today. As I'm moving forward. So this is particularly special for me too, to be able to be here and to do this with you guys, fellowship as I like to call it, and also share with the folks out there that definitely would want to hear this, would like to hear this, need to hear this, and absolutely can use this.
Absolutely. Alfredo, how you been doing, sir?
So it's been rough, man. I'm not gonna lie. For our listeners, I had a little bit of a joblessness for a couple months here. And just so what's on second, who's on first, bases are loaded, when and how. This morning, I went through a pesticide applicator class, how to calibrate an applicator, which took a little bit of energy out of me. It was a little cold this morning. Outside of that, I'm also doing FEMA training, which is draining in the reverse order. I'm doing a bunch of FEMA training to kind of prepare myself for anything and everything. And then I finally found out my origin story of how and when I want to go get a PhD. So that's the last one that's on.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I had a bunch of chats with a few folks in the industry. I think it might be time. Might be time to land it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Oh, that's what's up, man. That's good. That's good.
Awesome.
And as for me, you know, I just been staying busy. Number one, work definitely keeps me busy, but also too, along with that, staying steady with my CISSP studies. Working through different test banks right now. I finished up the Boson test banks. I think it's like 6 or 7 exam banks they give you. So I finished all of those. Kind of doing going review. You know, doing like the missed questions part of it. Like whatever I missed and then whatever I tagged. Kind of just do that review. Also looking at. So I've been checking a lot on Reddit and the CISSP Reddit, and a lot of people looking at quantum exams. So I'm kind of looking at that, and I think I'm gonna get that secured later on today and go to that bank as well. But yeah, just just staying with my preparation and been following I guess in the sports world, I was able to catch my Knicks. They got a big win last night, so I'm pretty happy with that. I was able to sleep well last night.
All right.
So, but no, outside of that, it's all good, man. And again, it's Veterans Day is around the corner, so definitely a special time of the year. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into it. All right, so TByrd, if you can you share a pivotal moment in your life that shaped who you are today, and how did it influence your perspective on relationships and personal growth?
Well, actually, I absolutely can. This question takes me back to 2004. I was a technical sergeant E6 in the Air Force, stationed at the Pentagon. We had again, kind of like everywhere, and this is something everybody has in common. Most places you have people that get along. You have cliques at work. You have folks that loners do what they're going to do, and then you have folks that try to pull everything together. Well, actually, leading up until 2004, I was extremely reserved. So there was a lot of times I felt a certain way about things, and I just wouldn't say anything. For example, when I went through basic training, I went through basic training for 8 weeks, wearing an 8.5 when I should have had a 9.5 or 10 every single day, but I was too scared to say anything to my drill instructor to get my low quarters changed, and still affected by that today. So what I say there is I didn't have a voice. The pivotal point came in 2004 where someone directed me to do something to someone that I did not agree with. And I absolutely did not agree with, and it went against everything in me, and it went against every fiber in me. Granted, active duty military at the time, subject to punishment under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, but I just could not bring myself to do what this individual asked me to do. And I had reached a point in my life where I actually clapped back, and I clapped back fairly hard at said individual. This individual, because I thought I had lost it all after I did that, and this individual looked at me and said, "I have been waiting for that." And from that day forward, in 2004 up until now, that moment shaped how I am. Not only was I able to get my voice, so born in 73, 2004, I finally get my voice. That's a long time, but time wasn't over, so still able to pick that up and move forward. But as I got my voice, and the voice, you could treat it like a weapon. You have to learn how to use it and when to use it. So between 2004 and 2024, I learned how to use my voice. I learned how to say what I need to say with all different levels of people, groups of people, functions, events, no matter what. I learned how to use that powerful tool that I came to know in 2004, which is simply my voice.
Awesome. So we'll jump into it even further. So you mentioned that your life has been your greatest professor. What key lessons have you learned from your successes and your failures?
Oh, man, absolutely. We all say, like, there's no greater professor than life, and I'm one to put that out there. So when you take risks, you take chances, you make decisions. I am the type of person, if I made the decision, I made the decision. It is what it is. I pick up and I move on. But it's when you make that similar situation and you make that same decision again, when you didn't learn from Professor Life, that's where you begin to fall and have those problems. So it's life. If anything teaches you, life is going to teach you. Life is going to teach you patience. Life is going to teach you understanding, and you hope that it does. And it will at a certain time. When I look at, I made moves, and here's that voice again, and learning how to use that voice. I'm in charge. I'm the chief. We're going to do, and I'm going to take your individuals, and we're going to go and do this. And I didn't give courtesy to the supervisors or the branch chiefs and just made a move. And what I come to find out is there was things about that individual that I didn't know. And had I went back and asked a question, I would have known, and that would have saved a whole lot of time. So that taught me right there, this is where Professor Life comes in. That taught me, hey, ask questions. Go back take a look, ask questions to people that these things affect or will be affected by decisions that you make. I also learned very, very early, uh, when you try uh, when you try to do things and move out on your own, and you think you are doing the right thing, and key word is you think you are doing the right thing without consulting, without talking it through, without talking to people and moving out without a plan. Life has taught me many a times you need to think things through and have that set plan as you begin to move forward. And that's when time allots. I've done nothing in my professional career or outside where there was no time to take to think things through or to have those conversations before you make those decisions and before you move out. And you hear me say that a lot, gentlemen, because I I was thrust into leadership and management very, very early in my career. I have been a manager, a supervisor of people from all levels of supervision since two since 1994
Wow.
until 2024. The only year that I did not supervise or was not directly responsible for a human being was 2013. And that didn't last long because I was thrust back into it in 2024. So when we say, Professor, life in hindsight, I go back and I look at all those things, and there's been times where I should have taken a break. I should have taken a knee. I should have realized I needed to go back and resharpen the tools because management, has to change and has to adjust, as the people do. So those are
Right.
some of the lessons that Professor Life has taught me.
So could we unpack that a little bit more, T-Bird? So I heard you say Professor Life also taught you the patience. How did you, and this is going to play good into our next question too, how did you navigate the timing with successes and failures to learn the lessons taught by patience? Like, how did you navigate that when either success or failure came into that lesson plan?
Well, wonderful. So and I'll take it when I made just a real quick decision. Hey, I'm going to do this. This is it because I said so because I'm the chief. And then when you sit back and you take that risk and you just make the decision and to move forward. When I go back and I think about that, had I had the patience or remove the ego to have the right conversations and to plan and think those things out, which takes patience. They see that comes with years. See, when I was up and coming and young, I was like, no, we got to get it done. We got to get it done. It's got to get done now. Fast, 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 fast. Go, 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 go. Patience is not a thing that you're waiting to hear. Another thing too is in the United States military. So they don't exactly show you a lot of patience when you're coming up, especially in the younger ranks and when you're coming through, base training, those things. That kind of, sticks in you. I said, do it, do it. We don't need to think about it, do it.
Right.
As I got older, and I'm going to tell you, that patience dragon kicked in over 40. Because what I also learned was that other valuable thing outside of that voice is time. Who has time to do it twice?
Right.
So
Inside of 2 generations at that, you said 40, right? You see
exactly.
yours, and now you're
Yeah,
seeing the next one coming up.
exactly. So you have to have the patience because they have to get there. Life is going to give them the same challenges and examples and scenarios as it has given you. To the point to where now it's like the guy that I am now and the guy that I was 20, 30 years ago when I started this is two totally different individuals. And that is strictly because of Professor Life. Going through the challenges, going through the things, and then you learn patience. Sometimes the patience is actually one of the best business moves that you can use because you have to sit back, you have to assess the situation, but you also have to assess the moves of others. You have to assess the skills of others. You have to assess the needs, the agendas of others so that you can form the right strategy and move forward and do the things that you were trying to do for you, yourself, your team, or whatever the agenda is. So patience, like I said, a lot of running into brick walls, a lot of sweating, a lot of, man, I wish I hadn't made that decision. A lot of, man, I hope I get out of making this decision. And you learn that, and you note and mark those things down.
100%. And that plays well into the next question. How do you, and you touched on it a little bit too, how do you define the importance of human connection in achieving personal and professional goals?
Oh, wow. And so here's what we all know. There is nothing without people, right?
Mm.
There is no mission without people.
But what's a mission? Because you
Okay,
gotta remember
okay,
now
okay.
all the listeners know what a mission is.
Okay. So here we go. So that's great. So that's mission, that's objective, that's thing, that's life. That's there is nothing without people. So we all need each other to a certain degree. Now, everybody can't be managers. Everybody can't be in charge. Everybody can't lead. So what I've had to come to, with that human connection, and which is what I've done, which is why I feel stating the fact that I was a youth coach coming up through the military and into senior management where I am now is you have to form that common bond and make that connection with people.
Right.
When I coached football and I had the little kids, I would always get on my knees so that we were eye to eye and have conversations with them. You see, I need to come down to your level so that we can talk and that we can understand. You see, we both know the relationship. I'm the coach and it's going to go the way that I want it to go. And we know that you're the player. But I come down to their level so that we can see eye to eye. I can hear and see what the problems is. I can tell what I'm looking for. And then we can come to, what we need from that. As I manage and as I deal with people, the main thing with people is they want to be valued. They want to be respected.
Right.
They want to know that they can trust you. And they want to know that who they're dealing with is genuine and not phony. And I do that with folks. I'm fortunate enough to say all people. I have supervised all people, different walks of life from everywhere. I haven't had to adjust who I am to be able to do that because the genuineness comes out immediately. I look at you when I talk to you. I afford you the same respect that I expect, in return. And we get there. I'm transparent. I talk to the folks. So you have to form that common bond. You also have to show people, when I said value, hey, look here, this is what we are trying to do. This is what the team is trying to do. This is the objective where we're trying to go. Here's your part in it. Here's how you help us get there. Here's what we need you to do. Here's what I'm going to do. And here's how I will help you if you can't do that. So when they see that one of the greatest things that happened to me as an employee before I became a senior manager is I saw my senior manager roll up those sleeves and get in there with me and help me get there, help me think it through, help me get there. So he made a connection with me by just simply doing that. So I always try to make that connection. Now, I don't over personalize it because I'm gonna tell you guys something. When it comes to the professional world and it comes to work, I always look at things like this. I never take it personal. I never bring it personal. And I try not to make it personal. You see, there's only one person on the planet that is really, really personal with, and she catches morning breath. And that's the so if you're not catching morning breath, it ain't personal.
Right.
It's we all have a place and a piece in the agenda, in the objective, in the mission, in the whatever it is that we are trying to do. So and I make it very clear, and I also just say, hey, we're all in this together. There's a term I hate using, and I'm going to say it because most managers don't agree. I hate the term subordinate. I hate it with a passion.
Say it again.
Subordinate.
Subordinate.
I hate that word. Because it even sounds like subordinate. You are subpar to me. No, I hate that. We are
It does
all in
sound
this.
it does sound derogatory
Yeah.
to an
We are
extent.
all in this together. So,
Mm.
so when I talk to my folks, everybody knows who is in charge, who is the leader, and then those that don't, you let them know very quickly. And there's a way to do that. However, we are all in this together, and I try to touch everybody with genuineness. This ain't phony. This ain't made up. This ain't something that'll happen today, and then 2 weeks from now it won't happen. I'm the same way coming in, the same way going out. That's how I try to
100%.
do that with my folks there. That connection, that's genuine. I don't want to use the word personal here. I want to use that's a genuine connection.
Right.
Oh,
And, that's as you say that, I even think about just for me, just coming up and just my experience with leaders that I've had coming up, and the ones who have I that I've had the most probably the strongest connection with are those who got in the trenches with me, who got their hands dirty with me, and is able to that they showed that connection that they really for their people. Um, and those are things that I try to pull and try to emulate even within my role. But I think that what you said definitely really hits home, because I think a lot of people, some people who are afforded to be in those type of positions, so some folks unfortunately they lose sight of that. They
Right,
feel like once they're in that supervisory management role, they feel like they're king or queen, and you just do what I say and that's it.
right,
Um, so yeah, and of course that can have a negative effect on output, for results, anything like that from your team,
right.
because it just creates a very bad atmosphere and environment. So and
100%.
I've experienced that, and I'm sure Alfredo can attest to that, just having maybe different leadership styles as well. So
Right.
Oh yeah, you lit the candle, Dr. Joseph. I just want to take a minute because you're right. It triggers the trauma. It triggers the mindset. Especially, I'm not going to throw any company names or anything, but especially in the private sector, right?
Right.
I struggled with this in 2016. I did a presentation on toxic leadership as a civilian, mind you. I didn't know
Right.
what that meant. I didn't know what savant leadership meant. I didn't know any of those structures that some of you gentlemen have explained and learned and was disciplined and training to bring up your peer,
Right.
your peer leader. Because a lot of times I've noticed the toxic leaders don't want to work in that environment where they're boosting up the subordinates, right? Or if they have a skip level and they say, hey, let's remove the toxicity and come down a level, or down level in private sector is called, and so I can boost you up to that leadership role that, eventually you're going to replace me. Right. So I learned that in 2016. I had a conflict with managers that were saying, like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that as an engineer or a scrum master or some of those subordinate roles that we have in sector, because the toxicity is instantly removed. Now, I had a saying that I adapted since then in my presentation: without collaboration, there's only competition and toxicity.
Right.
Right. So a lot of
mm,
leaders like to collaborate and say, look, you have to replace me. Now, I'm a civilian learning this, and management lost it on me. That I can't name the company, but at this time, the management team, who are you, senior engineer or not, to say punch up? That was the term I learned, and
Right.
talk about the toxicity in leadership, right? Because they knew it existed, but there was no ways to remove it. There was no actions to remove that by building out leaders, and growing your own is the term I learned. Grow
Right.
your own leadership, and you eventually have superior rock star leaders.
Right. Right.
So I didn't know
Alfred,
that in 2016.
Alfred, so I'd like to touch on something you just said there, toxic leadership and removing toxic leadership. There is absolutely, and I'm going to tell you, there's no way to remove toxic leadership, because as I sit here and I talk to all of you, I I am confident to say my leadership style is different than most that's out there. And I'm confident to say that. I mix my leadership on my style on my two hands. My five best leaders and the five worst leaders I've ever had.
mm,
And I
Okay.
take something from each of them. But
yeah,
Okay.
honestly, I learned the most from the worst.
yeah,
I learned the
me too.
most from the worst.
Wow.
But out of both hands, what I realized is, if your folks know you are genuine and they know you are willing to get in there and help get them to the goal or objective, you empower them.
Right. 100%.
The value is immeasurable. It's out of this world, and they're going to do anything you need them to do for you, and it's going to be the best product you could absolutely get. I have had toxic leadership that was so bad that, and I was part of it. I wasn't part of the leadership. I was in an organization. I was the deputy. The people refused to talk to the chief. The chief refused to talk to the people. I went one level up and was told you need to have a frank conversation with said leader. And I did have that conversation with said leader. And it hit home, coming from me. It's like the folks don't want to talk to you because this is how they feel. And you don't really talk to them. So you are backing up what they're saying by your actions. And sometimes it just takes someone to lay it out so that you can see it, so it all comes together. Toxic leadership has damaged organizations, divisions, mom and pops, whatever.
Startups, all of them.
A little bit of everything.
Right.
So my take, what I throw at toxic leadership, I ask every leader, I ask every manager to be self-aware, to realize when it's time to step back, when it's time to take a knee, when it's time to resharpen the tools. Because the greatest resource of any organization is the people that are in that organization. And if we don't treat, so you guys heard this before, right? People vote with their feet.
Most 100%.
People vote with their feet.
So ballot gets pushed with the poach card.
So most folks leave jobs because the pay ain't enough. Very few leave because of the job.
Yeah.
So
especially if they like the job and the team.
Exactly. But it's the people there that's, because with these days and these times, everybody, you're trying to live. You're trying to minimize stress. And you're just trying to take care of your family. And you're not trying to deal with a whole bunch of stuff on the side. And most folks, you do what you have to do. And just, disclaimer, I'll throw out there to you guys. I don't know if I told you this, Dr. Joseph. I am a former career advisor as well. So I advised, I was career advisor for 3 years at our agency, and I've heard it all. And when I stepped out of that role and started moving around the orgs, I actually saw what people were saying. So whenever that tells you, oh, this is crazy, don't do this, oh, this, and when you actually see it for yourself, you're sitting there like, wow, all these people can't be wrong. So what I do with that knowledge, I try to be fair. My model, the model I use for management is my triangle. At the top of the triangle, I have an L. The L is for legal. At the bottom left of my triangle is M. I try to be moral. Bottom right is an E. It's ethical. And in the middle of that triangle is an F. And it's fair. What I do, I base around that. Now, you can throw respectful at it. You can throw courteous at it. You can throw professional at it, which is what I do. But it's genuine. I genuinely want to be that way with everybody that I come across and everybody that I deal with. So it's not an act that I put on. It's who I am. If I need to tighten up, I tighten up and handle business. But this keeps people. This gets the mission done. This also, we have to know that we are training the next set of managers.
Exactly.
That's the part.
So I want to retire one day. I need to know that we're still going to be safe. We're still going to be able to do the things that we want to do. This great country that we defended is still going to be defended. So we are bringing up the next crew. So we are leading by example. And if TByrd can talk to people any way he wants to talk to people and do what he wants to do and take all the credit and give me none, then I'm going to be that kind of manager when I get there. So we have to take that into consideration as we're moving forward and as we're grooming this next generation of managers that's coming up behind.
So TByrd, as a leader, like what strategies do you use to inspire and unite people from diverse backgrounds? And how do you ensure everyone feels a sense of belonging in your teams?
Oh, wow. So that's an awesome question. So I'm going to take you back to what I said about 15 minutes ago. Voice. People want to be heard.
Right.
They want to be valued. So when my staff meetings, I bring all the division chiefs. I meet with all my leaders 3 times a month, and then once a month I bring everybody. I call my staff meetings family business. I don't call them
Mm.
staff meetings. It's family business. So talk about whatever you got to talk about. Say what you got to say. But guess what? Everybody gets to say what they need to say, and everybody's in the room, and you can hear it, and we can talk about it.
Right.
TByrd, listen to me. I got this idea. People want to be heard. They want to be valued. And when you bring all walks, everybody in the office together, everybody background, what do you think? And then you ask them, what do you think? How do you think we should do this? What's that is the greatest strategy, is letting folks know that, hey, you are a part of this, you are valued, and you have a voice. And guess what? I want to hear it. I want to hear it. And that has been the number one thing I believe that's helped me to be able to manage for all of these years, because I hear it all the time. There are other managers that wouldn't have done that, TByrd. There are other people that wouldn't have listened to me, TByrd. TByrd, you actually gave me a chance. Remember a few minutes ago when I told you guys 2 hands,
Yeah.
5 best, 5 worst, over here with the 5 best? Somebody gave me a shot.
Mm.
Somebody listened to me. Somebody let me take the reins.
Right.
Somebody let me fail. Professor Life helped me to learn from that failure and helped me to get where I am now.
You know, that as you just said that now, that even takes you back to my very first supervisor as it pertains to IT when I first got started. So this is, right after the military. I worked at my first government civilian position was at the Department of Veterans Affairs in New Jersey.
Right.
Um, and while I was in the Air Force, I did HVAC. And those listening, if not familiar, that's heat and ventilation, air conditioning. So I was an HVAC mechanic,
Go
technician.
CE.
Yes, sir. So, and then I carried that over at the VA for about at least 5 or 6 years before I crossed over into IT. And my first supervisor, my first IT supervisor, he did just that. He allowed me to fail. I was studying, of course, at the time. I was studying for my bachelor's in computer information systems at that point in time. And so I was very green. It was new, also excited to learn and, really get into the field. And I was volunteering for any and everything because, like, who am I to turn anything down? Because I'm trying to learn and try and get that experience. And so along with that, he allowed me to fail. He allowed me to. He gave me that room to fail, to not feel as if, okay, if I mess something up, like, oh man, he's gonna rip me. But he did it in a way that he's still teaching. Say, hey, all right, I understand you mess up here. This is what you should do, X, Y, Z, whatever. And then I was able to absorb that and apply that the next go around. I'm able to learn and improve. And he was always giving me advice along the way, and that really stuck with me because I think from there that was really the launching pad I needed to really jumpstart my career, to go from IT, and when I left and bounced around within my career until then I finally crossed over into cybersecurity. It just kind of, just looking back, it just shows how important a leadership is, how someone, the input and influence someone can have. Now, if you flip that, let's say my very first supervisor was a total jerk, and he's like, "Oh man, you messed up," and it just really tried to, diminish my confidence. I don't know. I probably wouldn't even be here right now with you all talking. So it
Wow.
can have a definitely powerful impact on someone.
Yes.
So along with that leadership, even mentor, I guess I didn't even think of him as a mentor. I don't think I even used the term mentorship back then, but kind of looking back now, yeah, he did serve as a mentor as well. So, but again, it just really goes to show how important that is, especially when someone very new in their career getting started, like what you say and how you encourage someone,
Yes.
really matters. It can have a very lasting and powerful impact on their career.
Yes. Absolutely.
100%. I think you touched on something too, Dr. Joseph. There are those leaders in the private sector that do bust you down like that. So there are, depending on the avenues, you in that case, and I can speak to the example at a startup called Datto, right? It was a great startup, great company. The CEO will say, "Thank you for showing up to the meeting," and that's all I needed to be the leader that didn't exist in the environment, to be the mentor, to say, "Hey, you know what? It is a little rough, but we can get through these tickets." Right? Or we can get through the mentorship. And then from that example, another leader kind of looked out for me and was like, "Hey, you should try to be in QA." That was the first time in my whole career that I realized people do recognize that there's an absence in leadership, or there's a missing mentor. Because we weren't calling it mentorship, 10 and 15 years ago. We were calling them coaches. We were calling them one-on-ones, direct leaders, those, yeah. So, the one-on-ones is what stuck to me. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
And then we were calling them direct report, or directly, like, to your point. I didn't realize that, you triggered it in my brain when I heard the word subordinate. What does that mean? I have these guys that are reporting to me, and I'm a lead, because we had leads too, and I need to show them that, like, it's not all just bad. It's not just, eat these tickets and shut up.
Yeah.
Right.
So one guy, his name is Ben. Shout out to Ben Carson. He kind of believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. I didn't know anything about software engineering. I was a Linux tinkering guy, but I had guys or groups under me. And another guy named Joel kind of reminded me too. He was like, "Yo, you gotta look out for your guys, right? They looking at you to say, how do I close these tickets, regardless of what the VP or whoever's pushing down on us is saying?" Because at the time we didn't have these one-on-ones. We had to build it as team leads, right? We had to build them as mentors of these environments in a pretty tough company. It was a solid company, but it was pretty tough, the task that we were being asked. The second only time was a gentleman named Rosh, right? Rosh Young, shout out to him, right? I didn't think I could be in cyber. Honestly, a few years ago, I didn't honestly know how to get into cyber. I've always been on the blue team. I've always been a system engineer, like the guy hands on keyboard, like we like to say. But I didn't know the connecting point to defending the organization that we were at. And so him and a guy named Chris Rosenrod kind of walked me through the steps of how to get into cyber. And it wasn't no like, poo-poo, you're never going to be in cyber. Let me introduce you to the people that you need to talk to so they can see you show up. And this last leader I had said, "Hey, your personality is better than anything on your resume." Shout out to Matt over at the same organization. Once I heard that, I knew I could be a leader in the environment and industry. And you need it, like, to your point, you need to have your voice be heard, but also listen to others. It gave me the time to say, well, I could tell anybody how to get a cyber. These guys show, so that resonates, especially when there's, I hate to say it, I'm not poo-pooing the private sector, but there is an absence today of that type of leadership. I'll be real. There is an absence of those folks that will walk you through the gauntlet, like we said on other shows. And this is how you do cyber operations. This is who you speak to in cyber operations. These are the lesson plans that you do, the study halls, to your point, Dr. Joseph, right? And not a lot of it, over, God, it's about to be like 20 some odd years come January. A lot of it's not hands-on keyboard. A lot of it's how you talk to people, how do you get them through a tough spot, how do you show them to close the tickets, right? How do you script out talking to someone on the phone, right? How do you show up when a lot of people don't expect you to? Incidents, right? We know those in cyber, right? A lot of people don't show up to those incidents prepared to talk to people going through a tough time. So I had to learn that too. And then to your point, I'm not going to say I'll never be a manager, but that's the tough part that I have to learn how to listen and teach people to. To speak to, like, how do I teach people to get through those tough times when people rely on it?
And to your point, Alfred, and I tell you that just on that tail end that you just said, professor life and the challenges and the things that you go through is going to help you be able to get there. One of the things I pride myself on, especially as a leader, there's unspoken powers that you're going to have as a leader. All the eyes are going to be on you. So I make it a point, I never let my people see me sweat. I have my close inner circle of leaders that, and I call that the trusted circle. So when I got a vent and we have to have permission to speak freely, we have to have that, and that trust has to be there. We get in, it's like, man, I'm scared out of this world. I don't know how we're going to do this. We're all human. So we have to have that venue where we can go and we can do that. But when it comes to the lead, to the team, to the organization, you will not see me sweat. I will not let you see me sweat, because if there is a crisis, if there are people coming down on us, We need to know that we can come to you and you are going to guide and lead us through that. As soon as they lose confidence in leadership, it's a wrap.
Yep.
Mhm.
100%.
So let's go to Veterans Day. Let's go to the military for a second. Every time you see a commander, a general, or somebody removed from a position, what is that first sentence that you read? You don't look and see, oh, they did this or they did that. You simply state, we have lost confidence in individuals' leadership
Right.
since they have been removed. So that confidence work, and those folks, they want a confident leader. They need to know that we can rely on him, her, whomever to get us to where we are trying to go. And if they're coming down on us, this individual is going to lead us and help us get to where we have to go. I love that because also on this hand right here, where I got the 5 good ones, I've seen confident leadership. I've seen folks stand up and take it on the chin for the organization and represent us. Over here on the bad hand, I've seen them run. I've seen leaders place blame. Well, I didn't
Right.
do it. I don't know why they did that. Whoa, wait a minute. Didn't you authorize it? Didn't you have to sign it? You
Right.
had to know. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the private sector, government, military, the one thing all have in common is the fact that we're going to have people, and people are going to need to be led, and we need strong leaders, confident leaders, courageous leaders, leaders with integrity, leaders with genuineness that's going to take our folks and lead us to do whatever it is that we need to do.
Yeah, 100%.
So, looking ahead, what legacy do you hope to leave through your work and interactions with others, and how do you envision making a lasting impact on the lives of those around you?
Okay, so I can say it like this. You said legacy. So when I think of legacy, you go up the road here, M&T Bank Stadium, you got a big statue of Ray Lewis. That is
Oh,
a
you're
legacy.
local.
That is a legacy. So I can
Right.
tell you right now, they're not going to build any, the Air Force ain't going to build any statues of T-Bird. They're not going to, the agency ain't going to build any statues of T-Bird outside of one of the buildings, nothing like that. So the legacy that I want to leave is something I want to leave with every individual that I interact with.
Mm.
You've heard this before, gentlemen. People don't care what you do or what you do for them, but they will always remember how you. On this hand, with the bad ones here, I had one, and I quote, "T-Bird, that looks like sugar honey iced tea." As I'm coming up
Yeah.
and I'm trying to build, and I'm thinking, I spent 2 weeks on this project working hard. I will never forget that. And I had 2 different managers tell me that. I will never forget that. So if I'm going to leave a legacy, if I'm going to leave an impact, it's the fact, the interaction I have with people and how I made them feel. And I hope I made them feel empowered, challenged, and given the opportunity to want to go out and be them best selves, be their best selves.
So we have Tyrone Byrd, aka T-Bird, here on the Cyber Coffee Hour, part of the Alive Podcast Network. As we get ready to transition here to the lighter half of the show, and us just learn a little bit more about T-Bird, maybe just a little bit of personal insights, things like to do outside of the job. First question we ask you here, though, T-Bird, like, what in your estimation, what are the most significant emerging threats in cybersecurity today, and how should organizations prepare for them?
North Korea, Russia, China.
Mm.
Yeah. You know
So
they call it
okay,
near.
and I gave you where those threats are going to come from. And that's not even the other actors out there that are trying to do things.
Right.
And also the biggest threat is the leadership that is going to direct and lead us to handle that. That, sir, is the biggest threat to cybersecurity today. We have to be careful who we choose as our friends, who we choose to trust, and how we go about setting up our defenses against the big three.
And you see those three information environments and domains as the viable threat to our whole cyber capability.
Absolutely. I say that because I absolutely.
Wow.
And that's what, with my job, trust me, I know.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna be real, brothers. I don't want to as a civilian on the call, like I get it. I could put two and two together, right? But there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack that I'm already getting it, especially with the missions. But what I fear as a civilian is like, yeah, they're stepping their game up, right? You can see it. You can see it now. Like, politics, geopolitics aside, I don't think any part of my career I've seen them be able to offend and defend in this manner. Right? The adversaries, the near peers, as they're called in academia, right? I get it. But the concern I have too is those now they're coordinating. I have never seen that in my whole life.
Exactly.
Right? So now one is helping the other. This
There
one's
it is.
modernizing the other. This one's
There it
sending
is.
trucks to the other. We have components here in the state. Wait a second. In the state, excuse me. Wait a second.
Right.
Like trucks, batteries, keyboards, mice, phones, cars. Like what? And, so you're right. To me, like that's not I want to say a lack of readiness, but it's something to pay attention to. It's something definitely to be concerned about for sure.
Exactly. So obviously you guys know there's information I cannot share. You guys know that. I've been a part of some things and some things that I know. So it's key that we as Americans, whether it's private sector, government, we unite and we are on the same page. Because I go back, good gosh, I go back to the 80s. I go back to the 90s. We were that superpower. We were, you know what I'm saying? And guess what? The world is caught up with us, folks.
Yep.
They are good too now. They are good too now. They know things now. So it's more imperative than ever that we unite, we share, and we bring up the folks that are behind us. That to me is a threat. And trust me, I do my part, sir. I do my part.
No, I think that's a key word when we say for us to unite, because, Fred, as you touched on it, the adversaries, they're uniting. They're collaborating.
Oh yeah.
Listen, I don't know, y'all. I don't know if y'all. I know there's collaboration, but I read a site based on academia, the DIA Power Reports, and I did a report on that in Utica. Oh my God! Like the amount of thoroughness that they have. That I'll just say the everyday United States citizen is not reading that, right? The amount of, like you said, partnerships, just like we have our partnerships. The collaboration that they're doing for emerging technologies is ridiculous.
Right.
And you start to say like, yo, wait a minute. Like, okay, we did that as a country. Our allies did that as a country, but who not so much. They don't have that, like, you need to be authorized to do it. They just do it. Mm-hmm. Their citizens get behind it too, right? Mm-hmm. The government's kind of like, you will do this. So I'm like, yeah, to me, they are that cadre force. Right. Regardless of their Korean, Russian, and current geopolitics, Chinese, right? Their government's like, you will do this as a job and function. You will do this as a part of your lifestyle. That is concerning.
Exactly.
So, TByrd, what sparked your interest in cyber? Like, what was it for you that turned on that light bulb for you for cybersecurity?
Honestly, it was the fact that I had never been in it before. You see, my whole career, I was on the support side of the house. So I'm doing your money. I'm taking care of the people. I'm taking care of the manpower. I'm taking care of the logistics for the organization. So that's 25, 26 years of my career. Spent a little time on the intel side briefly, and now spending some time, on the cybersecurity side. So it's just the fact that I had never done it that sparked me to do it. And I just so happened to come in as the doggone division chief. So, so I got to see it all, very quickly and privy to a lot of things. But also when I go back and I say, the voice and listening, I have to do a lot of that because that's not my background. So I'm making decisions on things based on what I'm getting from other folks and what I'm reading and what I'm picking up on the fly. extremely extreme cybersecurity, man. It's just ridiculously exciting. Just man, just I mean,
Yeah.
I was on travel last week and got to be a part of an exercise, and just the technologies and the things that people are doing and what my office allows these folks to be able to do. It's just phenomenal.
That's awesome.
100%. Let's play onto that. What was your first piece of technology that has sparked your interest into technology, aligned to that what you were seeing on a day to day?
No, we kind of touched on that.
We did already. We just did. Okay. So the next one, then we'll play off of that. Then what were some challenges along that journey that you had to overcome to be successful where you are today?
Some challenges for me.
Yes, for you.
The fact that I had to make myself vulnerable
Mm.
because I told so 26 years in my old career, man, I knew who to call, when to call, who to connect, how to connect. Over in cybersecurity, I knew nothing. I knew no one. I had to trust everyone. I had to read everything. I had to listen to everything and then try to put everything together on the fly and make decisions.
Mm.
That was the most, honestly, out of 34 years in the business, this past year has been the most challenging and the most exciting at the same time. It's supposed to get easier when you're the boss, right?
You would think, right? You would think so. You would think. You would hope. You would hope
Yeah.
so. Okay.
If I could share, I guess just a little bit of just I guess from my experience as a chief, as a division chief,
Right.
as I started early on this year, having I think probably the biggest maybe transition for me or even challenge I'd say is the having that relationship change from like so those who we were all on the same level before,
Right.
and then now I'm managing people who may have been not to say we're not still friends now, but it does change a bit. You can't have that same sort of relationship, and then I even noticed like even others who would talk to quite a bit. Like I said, when we were on that same level before, but now with the new position, I have noticed maybe change of behavior towards me. Not in a bad way, but it's noticeable. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this person's in management now. I can't talk to them the same way I did before. So it's so that's probably one of the biggest things, and then also trying to instilling that confidence into the team to showing like, yes, I'm in this position and I want to help this team get to reach their goals and what they want to accomplish. One as a team, and then also two individually, because everyone, of course, you talk about promotions and things like that. Those are more the individualistic goals, but then also as a team, like what we're tasked to do, to make sure that we're producing the results that whatever we're given, that we're able to get it done as a team. So yeah, it's twofold. It's just it's trying to balance those things, but it's an I would say it's an adjustment period because it is a new experience, but
Yes.
I feel it will as time goes on, and as for myself, just really get myself more settled, and also there's a lot to learn. There's so much to learn. I'm still learning stuff today, like
Yeah.
as to what is available to me and what are certain things that I can utilize to really not just help myself, but also to help the team and help the team improve and thrive.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so every day is a learning experience for sure.
Absolutely.
Now I'm gonna ask a question, and hopefully the feed doesn't cut out. What is the what is the measurement, if you can speak to it, to align that team cohesion? Like, is it mission derived? Is there like a net promoter score? Like, what do the leaders at the agency use to measure that success ratio, like the KPIs? Like, how do I know I'm doing a great job as a leader, or my team understands how well I'm leading them into a particular mission or product or whatever the case may be?
I because the majority of the time when we are doing what we are doing, I am actually with the requesters or the naysayers. So I'm hearing it verbally. Either you met the mark or you didn't.
Mm.
And if we met the mark, then we move forward on the next thing. If we did not meet the mark, then I'm going back and I'm telling my technical director and engineers, hey, look, this is what they want. This is what we're looking for. How are we able to do this? and I need it now, and I need it without all the sausage. And then we just pick up, press, and go. So to answer your question very quickly, I turn it over to Dr. Joseph. It's feedback and constant feedback. We don't get scores A, B, 100, 50%, 90%. It's constant feedback. Either you met the mark or you didn't.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that. It's it really does come down to results. I mean, again, I think it's like, whatever it is. So in this case, like whatever your division is tasked with to do to accomplish, or work in a particular project that, okay, your stakeholders, those who are part of that, who are invested in that project, or wherever the case may be, that they have, as we talk about confidence, that they have confidence. Okay, this division, that this team is working at, we know we can rely on them to do their part as we drive towards the finish line for this particular goal. But also too, I think we do have checks like within our team. If you see maybe a team member is maybe kind of maybe fall behind or certain, or they need help, we'll definitely see that. I think it's very important as a leader to always take the temperature of your team. Maybe sometimes you see that maybe working on a particular project, they're working hard, and I've had that experience so far already. I've noticed you got to pay attention to your team members and how they're doing. You can see them; they could be working hard on a particular project, maybe even put in some extra hours. And sometimes you got to really watch them. Just watch, like, for me, it's like watching like body movements, or like certain routines are different with particular member. Like, so like for example, like one team member, he's always very talkative, come through, always say hi, whatever. Then one day doesn't really do that. So something goes in my mind, something like, I just need to watch that. It's not to say he has to or she has to do that, but you just know from working with them, you kind of pick up on everyone's routine. So when you see something goes off of that, start pay attention a little bit, and then and then you make adjustments. You either have a talk with them or say, hey, just want to check in, see how you're doing, and how things are going. And then sometimes you might say, hey, you might make a decision and say, hey, I know you've been working hard on this particular thing. Just, when things ease up, go ahead and just take the rest of the day off, or, whatever the case is. It's really just, like I said, just having that awareness of your team. Like I said, just doing that pulse check every once in a while to just make sure everyone is doing good. Everyone has the resources that they need. Also, too, like, you want to be that buffer between your team and maybe upper management or upper leadership. If sometimes maybe the team could be dealing with something, and maybe the requirements are not clear, or whatever the case is, you had to be that buffer for them, or you had to be the one to go step into that room or have that discussion with leadership. Say, hey, my team is dealing with this, or they're a little confused on this. Can you help break this down for me, so that way we can have that bit of clarity, or or we just need resources. Maybe we just need some extra help. They kind of taxed out. I don't want to burn my team out. I understand this is important, but I need you to give. I need you to give a little bit, because so that way my team can perform at their max potential. So it's just, I'm just giving examples, but yeah, it's those type of things. You want to do pulse checks, you want to check in, you want to make sure that you are standing up for your team. You want to make sure you are that buffer for them, and so that way. And again, I think that kind of ties in TByrd. We talk about having that confidence. I think when you do that and exemplify that, you're allowing your team to show that, okay, I have confidence in my leader that he or she's going to step in for me, when I need them to.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, and on a lighter note, right, TByrd, what is your favorite coffee that helps you get through the day? Your favorite coffee preference?
I drink 2 cups, my big steel canister in the mornings. I drink 2 cups, but what helps me get through the day at work, you guys, so okay, in 30 seconds, it's actually, I have a purple chalice. Purple is my favorite color. Everybody knows I don't go anywhere without that chalice. And I put water, I go and fill up from the fountain. And that is where I get my breaks. That is where I'm transitioning when I'm going to meetings. That chalice is what I take with me, and I get my water in that I need during the day. But that's
Right.
what gets me through. That's what gets me through the day. I have 4 or 5 meetings a day, and I'm filling that cup up 4 or 5 times per day. And people stop me and talk about the glass.
Wow.
So
They don't talk
there's,
about what's in the glass.
and they ask sometimes, but the fuel, the coffee is people.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
That
Yeah,
attracts people.
it
People want
is.
to know what about my glass. I get what I need from my glass, and that gets me through my day every single day.
If you could have any superpower to help you in cybersecurity, what would it be and why?
I would want the power of the Force from Star Trek.
Star
And what
Wars.
I,
Star
so
Wars. Yeah,
and so not Star Trek, I'm sorry, from Star Wars.
Yep.
yeah.
And what I would want to do with that power is I would want to get all my engineers in a room together on the same page. If I could do that, because there's different technologies of security controls and those types of things, and
Right.
every engineer is better than the other engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had a superpower, it would be the Force from Star Wars.
Right. And some
Okay.
engineers master the dark side and the light side of the force too.
There it
We
is.
gotta weed them out. We gotta weed them
Bring bring
gray
bring bring
sis
Right.
out.
them bring them all together. Bring them all together.
Right.
Yes, yes.
And T-Bird, last one here. What are some of your hobbies, interests, recreational activities that you like to do outside of work?
So what keeps me sane? Uh, I definitely got to stay in the gym, and I lost that as of late, but I'm getting that back and regaining that. That's me. That's alone time. I only take calls from the wife or mom during that time. Other than that, uh, I'm just getting back into myself and allow myself to go barbecuing when we can. We got a burn ban in Maryland right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
we do. Yeah, we do. You're right.
Okay.
yeah, just those types of things. My family, just after all the years of grinding professionally, uh, work first, family second. You know, finally learned how to flip that. See, there's hindsight. There's that professor life teaching you again.
Right.
So they get a lot of my attention now. Parents, grandkids, definitely the wife, number one fan. Absolutely. Uh, uh, just enjoy her immensely. 30, going on 32 years.
That's awesome.
Hey, let me
Wow.
tell you something. There's so many things that I've learned from her and that she's responsible for, and just her demeanor. I don't even want to talk about what it'd be like without her. So it's just, yeah. Absolutely, man. And able to get, and I'm at a position in life now to where that matters more to me than anything else.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, T-Bird, it's been a definite pleasure have you on the show. We definitely had a great time with you here. But before we go, is there anything you want to share with our listeners?
Exactly. So uh, definitely want to share, Dr. Joseph. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on, Alfredo. Thank you as well, and wonderful to meet you today. But what I want to leave with the people, especially if you're in management, aspiring to be a manager, an employee, I want to leave with you courage. Have the courage to have your voice. Have the courage to make a difference. Be an owner, not a renter. If it's garbage, if it's wrong, pick it up, say something about it. Courage is what I want to leave you with. And I think if we all had that, we are going to move forward, uh, uh, differently, obviously, because we're all different and got different ideas and views, but we'll be moving in the same direction.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Right.
Yep.
Courage. Love it. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you
Right.
for those of you listening and watching and joining us for another episode of the Cyber Coffee Hour, part of the Alive Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode, explore more engaging content in the Alive Podcast Network app. By supporting this podcast and nearly 100 other Black hosted shows, you can enjoy ad-free listening while contributing to a diverse range of voices in the podcasting space. We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more insightful conversations with you in our next episode. So until then, keep brewing those ideas and stay curious about cybersecurity. All right, that's it. It's a wrap. We out of here. Peace.
Peace. Thank you.